Hey there, I'm Marty Sakata, host of Resilient Alpha. You might know me from the Ivy Family Office Network, almost 3 decades of family offices and big shots collaborating on alternative investments, strategy, and good causes. That's the fuel for this podcast. Why Resilient Alpha? Simple. Why do some funds and managers crush it and others crash? We're cracking that code, redefining alpha, and bringing top brains to unpack asset classes and hot alpha ideas full throttle. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Today, Elizabeth Cho Fertique will be our co-host. She's a scientist turned investor whose 30-year career spans the nuts and bolts of drug discovery to regulatory, clinical trials, and venture capital. Elizabeth is the founder and a managing partner at Meta Ventures, an early-stage healthcare VC. Meta Ventures has a one-of-a-kind funding vehicle that utilizes a trifecta of AI insurance and bond financing to provide outsized equity risk mitigation and downside protection for LPs and also the biotech companies they invest in. Her investment portfolios have enviable IRR and MOIC results. She collaborates with partners at the top of their games to scout and invest in the alpha of the best healthcare deals worldwide. Elizabeth is at the forefront of the industry, and she'll lead the discussion with our guest today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Resilient Alpha podcast. This is Elizabeth Cho Fertique, your host of the Healthcare Stream. Today, I'm very fortunate to spend some time with Fred Nazem, legendary financier, entrepreneur, and philanthropist who has taken dozens of companies IPO. He has founded or financed several multi-billion dollar companies and is also known as a turnaround specialist, most notably Oxford Health Plans, which he grew and built and eventually sold to United Health for $5 billion. Fred received his education in biochemistry, physical chemistry, as well as an MBA from Columbia University. He spent his career in the financial, technology, and healthcare sectors. He began his time as in the financial sector as a securities analyst and assistant vice president at Irving Trust, now known as the Bank of New York, before founding his own venture capital firm. His most recent venture as an entrepreneur is with Rejuvenon Global Health. This is a digital technology that is focused on providing the tools and knowledge to members on their health care, not sick care. And we will be spending the next 40 minutes discussing at a macro level the difference between the US healthcare system now and where we should try to go in a paradigm shifting, proactively focused agenda related more to prevention, wellness, and longevity. And this will touch upon his newest venture, Rejuvenon Global. Here's more of my interview with Fred Nazem.
The content here is for informational purposes only, should not be taken as legal, business, tax, or investment advice, or be used to evaluate any investment or security, and is not directed at any investors or potential investors in any featured fund or deals on this video.
Welcome everybody to day 2. I am Elizabeth Cho Fertique. I'm a scientist by training, moved over to the venture capital side. I have a healthcare VC called Meta Ventures. But today I have the honor of speaking to the legendary investor, entrepreneur, philanthropist, Fred Nazem. So I feel great and fortunate. Thank you for coming, Fred. Fred has had a storied career, right? He's taken dozens of companies IPO. He founded or financed several billion-dollar corporations and is also known as a turnaround specialist, including, as Marty alluded to, his successful turnaround of Oxford Health Plans, which he sold later to United Healthcare for a whopping $5 billion. Um,
1 billion was a lot.
what's that?
1 billion was a lot.
Yeah, okay, that's right. This was 5. Okay. Fred received his education in biochemistry, physical chemistry, and then also obtained his MBA from Columbia University. So we're cut from somewhat the same cloth. Yeah. He spent his seminal career in the financial, healthcare, and tech sectors. He began his time in the financial sector as a securities analyst and assistant VP at Irving Trust, which is now known as Bank of New York, before founding his own venture capital. And his most recent venture is Rejuvenon Global Health. This is a digital membership based healthcare delivery system which provides its members with the knowledge and tools to take care of their own health and to manage it, and also the health of their families, which we'll touch on during the chat. And but alongside his business ventures, Fred devotes quite a bit of time and energy to important philanthropic ventures through his family foundation and serves on various boards. And last but not least, Fred is a recipient of the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. It's an award granted to American citizens of diverse origins for their outstanding contributions to the United States. So, hats off to immigrants, right? Aren't we all? Yeah. So, with such an expansive background, we're fortunate to be able to spend the next 40 minutes with Fred on healthcare. We're going to have go from high level to down deep, starting with a macro view of the state of the U.S. healthcare system into paradigm shifting and proactive healthcare focused on prevention, wellness, and now what everybody loves to hear, longevity. And that touches on his newest venture, Rejuvenon Global. Fred, welcome. Did I cover it all?
Thank you. Boy, yeah, I can go home. Well, thank you very much. You're very generous, all of you, for having me.
Do you want to raise it to your the
Well,
microphone?
My voice cord got hit by a bad cold this winter. I'm trying to recover from it. So if I don't project, please tell me, get the microphone closer. I hope you can hear it. As to the state of healthcare in the United States and around the world, I'm going to say it's not. What do I mean by that? We have sick care system around the world. We don't have healthcare system. To this audience, I've delivered this message so many times. I think it's the greatest challenge that we are facing today. We go see our doctors when we are sick. Our doctors get trained based on diseases and hospital management stuff. And it's not about the proactive health part of it. As much as this Robert Kennedy may look like not qualified, some of the things he's doing I really like. We have environmental poison all over the place that is really reduces our lifespan and what have you. So I think the ultimate healthcare is, there is some sick care in it because we get sick from time to time, but it's not the exclusive thing that we got to be working on, which is what the system is all about. Quite honestly, both of my kids are physicians. I saw them go through Yale and Harvard, and they don't really know healthcare. There's more of it now. More and more the schools are getting in, but we have to bring it together. So I think integration of these healthcare and sick care, which is the mission of my company, this company that I built for the last 10 years, is the way to go. So we call it essentially integrated care, and I think whole care is the way we go about it. You have to have a whole care, sick care and health care, and specifically, I'd like this longitudinal care. That is not episodic care. You get sick, you go see a doctor, you take some pills, things go away, maybe it goes away, and then you go back some other product. Then the next episode you go out. You have to have a longitudinal care, the whole long series. So Rejuvenon, for instance, I don't want to keep plugging Rejuvenon because I want to talk about the system, but it's about putting this thing together. It's this integration of care that is very important and longitudinally following you. Almost anything you do in medicine, this could help. I don't want to go on and on, but that's what the basic message is. We don't have healthcare system. We have sick care system. Some of it is necessary. There's some great invention had happened out of necessity, but we're beginning to see some interesting ideas in the healthcare area.
Yeah, well, this harkens back to when we spoke yesterday to Mohammed Memin. He has a remote care company, and that is to manage and monitor people with chronic health. So you catch them before, devastation strikes.
I liked his presentation. I listened
You
to it.
heard.
Yeah,
Great,
wonderful
great.
stuff.
That was
But
Chronica, everyone. Raising money. Okay. Exactly. So he speaks your language too. That's great. So given some of the issues that we do have, what areas are ripe for disruption in terms of healthcare? Therefore, what areas are promising to invest in, say, for the next 5 to 10 years?
well, first of all, AI is the story of the time of our lives. I think we're just the absolute beginning of it. I was a child of the last revolution and did very well with it. It is really what you see today. The big companies and the small ones, almost every activity started developing with internet and the rest of it. We're now in for the greatest ride ever in history with this AI. It's penetrating everything as we sit in here, and so healthcare is a particularly good area for this one. You can go into some details of what, but basically, I think the AI part of the healthcare delivery system is very important. It would be less expensive. It would be. I think we can go into details of it, but it could take a lot of administrative stuff out, and but more than that, in inference, the world that is just beginning to turn into this industry, you have the ability to actually get into the practice of medicine. Digital doctor is going to be our next big thing in life, because a lot of the routine stuff could be taken care of, and we can free our doctors to spend time on really meaningful stuff that they hopefully learn even more in medical school and their practice. So the AI is one area. I actually have a list of the stuff that I thought you were going to ask me that. So let me make sure that I cover a number of these. That biotech and precision medicine is the other area that I think is very exciting. Gene and cell therapies, CRISPR that came into the business. I did the CAR T stuff with a company called Bluebird Bio, which was the founder and CEO for about 4 years. And we did very well with it, but then this CRISPR technology is a very substantial hit to this area that's going to become very dominant. Again, AI will play a very big role in this. Orphan disease and immuno-oncology are high growth niches that it seems to be showing a lot of potential in here. Mental and behavior, everywhere you go, that's a problem. Behavioral health is so important. Mental health is beginning to be people are beginning to feel comfortable about talking about it, about using it and doing it. So a lot of great areas to really focus on. Home-based and value-based care. Home becomes the hospital, if you will, and value-based. Essentially, if you don't get out of value, I don't know what are you doing. So value-based is going to have to really be adopted in a much wider sense. I like the area that I'm most interested in is this longevity, which is what really Rejuvenan is all about. Longevity, particularly the longitudinal care, as I said before, I think is going to be a major area of activity. Almost $1 trillion worth of goodies waiting there to be discovered. So those are some of the areas, and we can go into some details of them, but there's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah.
Huge opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I say I feel like a mosquito in a nudist camp. I don't know where to bite. It really, because it's just so much opportunity.
That's right. That's right. So let me try to recap for everyone. AI, personalized medicine, We heard cell and gene therapy, gene, i.e., CRISPR, what it may impact, longevity. And we have VC funds popping up, right? Just
Correct.
on longevity. We had Alan Patrikoff speak at another legendary investor. He started his own
Alan is
longevity
good
fund
old
at
friend of
age, yeah, at age, what was it? 93? 95 and kicking it still. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, Alan and I go a long time. Frankly, I was one of the few venture capitalists had both West Coast and East Coast offices. And the West Coast didn't have much idea about what healthcare was a potential area to go into
Really?
till much later. But only one group, Frank Bonzel and that NEA, were the only ones with me who would do all these deals before Alan and all the rest of the guys. I love Alan, but he was not in this business. He, of course, later got into it. Anyway, I think this whole area is huge, and its history is that I think we were the largest investors in this, and East Coast in particular, New York in particular. Now it's going to be. I mean, I heard Kevin talk about this yesterday. You know, the ideas they're looking at. So it's a very interesting time to take what was done in the East Coast, and now, of course, California has come alive, particularly in the San Diego area with the biotech and what have you. So we now have some real understanding of what demand in healthcare is like and what we can do with it.
Let's move on to this still issue of chronic diseases like obesity, hypertension, heart disease, diabetes. What's the state of diagnosing them and managing these? And what chronic disease is growing the most? And is there hope for that?
Well, chronic diseases are the bane of our existence.
Mm-hmm.
7, 8 diseases dominate the scene. Most of the cost of healthcare is wrapped up in here. Sorry, this is it's the future. We haven't figured out what causes these chronic diseases. This is very important, but I think 75 to 80 cents on a dollar of care goes into chronic disease. Usually the same 3, 4, 5 diseases, and so that's where to focus in terms of cost, in terms of longevity. Of course, not everything in business of medicine. Very few things are curative. They essentially we can extend the quality of life and the quantity of life with that, but it's really these diseases that's just going to have to be focused on. So it's really very big. I think obesity is the number one in the United States, and these diseases are comorbid a lot. So they travel like a pack of wolves. So if you're overweight and you become obese, you're pretty much sure of getting diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get that, it's the beginning of going downhill to essentially a heart problem. These diseases, just that combination, trillions of dollars just in that combination. So I can see hundreds of investments in that area. So I think obesity is the number one growing because it is the mother of the other stuff that is happening. Of course, the way I look at it, there are really 4 things that drives demand and potential problem for bane of our existence. It is oxidation, with essentially free radical around us that causes that. It's inflammation. Is our bodies respond to it, immune system doing anti-inflammatory stuff, inflammatory response that happens. Then it is methylation, which is really the basis of cancer, and that's the other area that's very exciting. And I would say glycation is the 4th one, which is sugar management. Again, real problem. So those 4 forces drive our whole health. And how do we get a hold of each one of these? And there's just huge amount of opportunities in each one to do good. to extend life and quality. In the Rejuvenon, I have a saying that we live with, that we would like to add years to your life and life to those years. And that is the quality of life and the quantity of life. You don't want to have one without the other. I think, at least I don't want to have it. Anyway, so that's sort of the way I go at it.
You just sparked an idea that, oxidation, glycation, methylation, I forgot the last one, but those could be biomarkers for bad
Yes, it is.
aging.
Yes.
Maybe that could be a diagnostic.
Yeah,
That's a way to, tone it down, and that's demonstrating.
that's the
progress.
basis of Rejuvenon.
All right. Okay.
And that we take 10 biomarkers that represents these. And the other thing, there's a great science that's been produced, been discovered, but we are not adopting it fast enough. The science that we based Rejuvenon on mainly is telomere biology. Telomeres are the small tail at the end of your 23 chromosomes. The longer your telomere is, the healthier you are, the shorter, the sicker you are. And telomerase is an enzyme that could promote lengthening of the telomere. So we have now a mechanism that we can make you healthier. And that's where epigenetic comes in. As we do this, your genes turn over and add those new information to the fray. And so it's a very exciting area. So the Nobel Prize in 2009 was given to Elizabeth Blackburn and cohort, who discovered telomere biology. If you haven't read Telomere, the book on telomere by Elizabeth, it's really a must read. You understand what's going on. Great clinical trials to prove 4 things drive our lives in order to really make us healthier. The 4 things, is nutrition is critical. Movement, basically, working out. Stress management. All the people around the world are stressed, managing that. And then finally, social support. Loneliness is the biggest problem culturally everywhere. And so that is a very important area to really focus on. So those 4 things, we have taken those 4 things and made it into this company. I think a lot of people will follow the same rule once they discover how important this thing is. So I don't want to go on and on, but those are the 4 areas and what we look for.
And we were discussing earlier, this reminds me of the blue zones. Everyone heard of the blue zones? How there are about 7 of them around the world, and they have the highest number of concentration of centenarians. Why do they live so long? And I think some of those 4 points that you hit on, they do in spades, and it's a bit hard to do in New York City, but we can, take kernels of it. And
Yeah, but if you choose New York City because you like New York City, and so you have to trade some of this thing, health versus what you like. You try to make the healthiest potential that the city has that you could make it offer. So I would say it's got to be pleasure in living too. So you can't just, I can be in a blue zone, but if I'm not a blue zone type, I suffer. So even that, but we learn so much from that group.
Yeah. Try to incorporate it. So let's move a little bit into Rejuvenon and just the business of healthcare.
Yep.
In your terms. Tell us about Rejuvenon, and which is, the overall goal is to support customers who wish to have more control over their wellness and longevity. Describe some of the company's services.
All right. Well, you can pick up our app from the App Store, Rejuvenon app. When you do, there will be 10 questions that we will ask you. Within about 15-20 minutes, we can begin to handicap your health, where you are. Just give you an example. Let's say that you love sugar stuff and you're beginning to get your weight is getting, glycation is becoming a problem. It shows what from what you ate, and some of the numbers that, for instance, hemoglobin A1C will tell us, your blood test with hemoglobin A1C will tell us, well, what kind of a proclivity your body has toward it. It shows that your problem is going to be basically weight problem, and hemoglobin A1C is a good indication. And then the list of some of the activities that you do and what you eat. At the end of that, we give you a score called Rejuvenon Health Score, based on these 10 biomarkers, and then we try to improve that. I, for instance, felt that I had diabetic potential because of my parents having diabetes before they died. And when I got around it and started testing it out, it was almost 8. The hemoglobin A1C on me was about 8 point something. And I got very alarmed because the healthy range is below 6. And so I went to the system called Rejuvenan, and I got below that number and changed everything. Within 3 months of the first handicapping session that we have with you, the score keeps changing. My score changed from about 71 out of 100 in the beginning to 92. I'm back a little bit below that now. It's about 80, 90 or something like that. So there's a way to measure your progress. And if you do those 4 things that telomere biology tells you, what happens, like the blue zone people, what happens is that those scores improve. And so as you go forward, 3 months later, you take another test, a blood test, and you get your hemoglobin A1C. You can get that blood test anywhere, including your PCP. And so all the new input comes into the picture, and you can see yourself going, this longitudinal care beginning to work for you. That's what we are trying to do. But it's based on real science and real technology delivering it. So another big story of Rejuvenon is a lot of technology. We're very early in AI, machine learning, and we put a lot of that. So we have a robot that runs you through the day. As a result, we can offer this thing at less expensive. It was a massive work that had to be done. It took 10 years to pull it together. And hopefully now these days, you are beginning to discover that that's an important area, and we're getting a lot of attention.
About 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So besides providing questionnaires and giving scores, how do you prod or prompt your customers to, shift more towards healthy diet, movement? Are there behavioral specialists that give some tips, or what additional services around that?
First of all, we make it easy for them to own their health and health care, to understand what's going on with them. So we're not after everybody in the world, although we love to, but there's more and more people who are committed to come into this way. They're health conscious, and nothing makes you more health conscious than when you are diagnosed with one of these diseases.
Sure.
And so we get all of that people coming in. Our task was to make it more humane, easier to own and operate. And so we can only do so much, but it seems like more and more people are coming this way. So we were very excited by the opportunity.
How do people sign up for Rejuvenon?
Well, right now, we're only going B2B2C, but we're going to be going to individuals. We are also incorporating some new areas, because when you have a company, the art of building a company is to be flexible enough and move with the market. And so we've done that. We're having yet another move with the market. We're going after, for instance, genetic area. That's very exciting. And, we have all these phenotypic information that is the basis of the diagnosis and treatment in current system of medicine. But we need to have a lot more genotypic information, genetic capability. That's extremely important. So one area that we're working on is menopausal women. Usually they have to pay a lot of attention to about the hormonal profile. And if they don't take the proper hormone therapy, despite the past problem, we won't talk about it, but now people know what to do with hormone therapy. If you do it properly, you don't end up with uh, bone problem and all kinds of, you know, essentially having all kinds of problem with your bone structures, and that whole area is very interesting. This group that you're just connected with and we're working with is using our system as a basis. We can deliver what is needed for you to really get to that level. The big part of it is that sequencing your gene, and there we're looking for certain uh, pieces of information and genetic information that if you really attend to it, the treatment is very effective for women who are doing that. Several of these doctors,
Okay.
the West Coast in particular, are doing very well with it. So we're trying to bring that new modality. Essentially, we built this ecosystem called Rejuvenan. We can bring all these companies, and we would be delighted to work with them to plug in their product.
Right, right.
And move it
So
forward.
diagnostics,
Yeah,
yeah, including
diagnostics.
genetics.
Not only just diagnostics, but also treatments.
Yeah, okay. B to B to C.
B2B
Right.
at this moment, but we're trying to test some of the markets.
Last question then.
Okay.
Let's go back to obesity. What do you think of the surge around GLPs and how it's so easy for us to pop a pill, right? Honestly. How do you see Rejuvenon fitting into that trend? Is it a competitor or is it a complement? How do you, what do you think about all that? And how does Rejuvenon fit?
Okay. Well, not just Rejuvenon, but people who are going the way we are going.
Yes,
You know,
in
how to
general, healthcare.
It's so important to this question. If anything you do, GLP-1 are fantastic. Okay, this response has been great. But what happens after you stop taking the pill?
Yeah.
What are the side effects like? How do you really deal with all that stuff? You need longitudinal care. You need to understand what's going on with you and stay with it. And, so to have an immune system that could deal with it, to have the facilities that we offer that could deal with it is very critical. So we welcome it. Of course, any of these developments, we absolutely welcome to the extent that they're curative or helpful. We would love to give our system to really help them out. So
Sounds like a compliment then.
absolutely,
GLPs. Not
I
that
think
you
I
eschew
think our
them,
system
but
complement to the old and the new, the areas that coming in like GLP-1.
yeah.
So we would welcome all that. We developed the system, and would love to license it, help them, give it to them free to just move humanity forward.
Okay. So I guess the bottom line message is healthcare involves really being intentional and conscientious in working to keep your body, your machine in shape. You got to
Yeah,
work at it.
I think
No shortcuts.
exactly. You ought to own your own health
Mhm.
and healthcare. You can't throw yourself at the healthcare system that doesn't do a good job. You can't do the wrong thing and go to your doctor trying for him to figure out something. Poor doctors. So it's just we're beginning to wake up that we can do a lot to stop it. So this environmental piece of work, which we didn't talk about, is so important. My first job out of college was becoming food chemist for Keebler Company, the cookie company. And I took all of the dyes out. Then, this is 50 years ago. It's taken 50 years. Now they're talking about taking my grandkids are taking ice creams and stuff with these colorful stuff that they put on. They're all carcinogenic material. We just welcome it. It's amazing how it seeps. Anything that has got these colors, if it's not natural, is bad for you. I took it. I had so much trouble taking it off of our products.
Grandkids.
It's taken 50 years. But anyway,
Anyway.
I think we are beginning to wake up to this whole revolution.
That's
I think so
fantastic.
too.
Thank
Well,
you very
listen,
much.
we have to move on to the next speaker. Fred, this is great, and we love the stuff you've done with Rejuvenan. I think a lot of guys from this group have invested in it, so we hope to hear more great things about it. And obviously, you've been, I think you told me you were one of the original 20 venture capitalists, and you've been such a force in the venture capital world. So thanks so much for.
Well, thank you, because you bring so much knowledge and activity to this whole area. And we really all thank you because you do a great job. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.